welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you some summer book recommendations. Summer is an awesome time to do some reading, so I hope this video will inspire your next read. These are all books that I have personally read and loved, and I tried to pick something for everyone, so there's a lot of variety in these recommendations, from bestsellers to titles that you may have not heard before. I have 5 fiction books and 5 non-fiction books. I will give each book a short review and description to give you an idea of what the book's about without giving too much away. And without further ado, let's get started. Book number 1 that I'm going to recommend is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I think everyone should read it. It's an amazing book. It talks about how to improve your social skills and how to be a more friendly and likable human being. The author writes very clearly. The book is divided into very digestible principles. I strongly recommend you give this one a try. I found this book super eye-opening. I really loved it. It talks about businesses and advertising agencies will use psychology to get people to comply or do certain things that they may otherwise not do in other situations. Cialdini teaches us these compliance tactics through very intriguing stories, and he also teaches us how to recognize and how to react to certain compliance tactics if they are used on us. The next book I'm going to recommend is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is a very popular book in the personal finance world, and if you are someone who's looking into maybe building a little bit more wealth, this would be an amazing read for you. This book talks about how to essentially use your mind to help you make more money. My fourth recommendation for the non-fiction category is Prepared by Diane Taverner. I believe everyone should read this book as well, but especially teachers, parents, and high school students. This is the true story about an author who created a board of schools from scratch, and she essentially talks about how the school system doesn't prepare kids adequately for the real world, and what some of the things that she implied in her schools that helped her students be a little more prepared for adulthood. Book number 5 in my non-fiction category is this book called Maiden Voyage. Now, you probably have not heard this title before, but if you were looking for a biography, autobiography type read for the summer, I strongly recommend this one. This is a true story about the author Tanya Abbey, I believe her name is, and it's the story about her when she sailed around the world at a very young age. I believe she was about 18, and she was the first woman and youngest person to ever circumnavigate the globe. So this is an amazing summer read because it's a story about sailing and adventure. And alright, so now we are going to jump into our fiction titles. So for my first fiction recommendation, I'm going to recommend the #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. I absolutely love this book. It's hilarious. It is witty. If you haven't read any books from this author before, you absolutely have to. This book talks about a lady who opens her own detectives agency in Botswana, and she solves mysteries for people and does incredible things out while she's doing her detective's work, and so I strongly recommend this one. For my next fiction title recommendation, I have Jane of Lantern Hill by Ella Montgomery. Ella Montgomery is the author of one of the most beloved stories, Anne of Green Gables. If you have not read any of her other work, I strongly recommend, because her descriptions and just the way she writes is so breathtaking and charming. And so I recommend Jane of Lantern Hill because it's a story that takes place in the summer, and it's about this girl Jane who goes to visit her father in PEI. Elle Montgomery writes a lot of books set in PEI, and it's such a beautiful place. So every time you read one of her books, you feel like you're in PEI. So the next book I have is Van Gogh. Now this is a book that is originally written in French. It is from Timothée de Fontbelle. And so if you are someone who reads in French, who can speak and read French, then I strongly recommend that you read this book in French. This is actually my favorite book of all time. If you're gonna read any book in this video, I strongly recommend that you do this one. Now this one looks very thick, but that's because there are 2 volumes in this one. Van Gogh is an amazing book because it's historical fiction, it's a mystery book, it's a romance. The characters are just absolutely awesome. They all are so well developed, and you just fall in love with each and every one of them. This book is essentially the story of Van Gogh, and he is running away from these people, but he has no idea why, and he doesn't really have an idea of who he is either. And so it's the story of him trying to figure out why he's being persecuted by these people and what his story really is. It doesn't follow the traditional storyline, and so you're constantly on your toes, and it's a very suspenseful yet very beautiful read, and I strongly recommend it. So my next fiction recommendation is Every Day by David Levithan, I believe his name is. This is kind of a teen recommendation if you are a teenager and you're looking for something a little eerie, a little, interesting. This is an awesome book. I read this book in one day. It is so suspenseful, and it has such a amazing message to it. It's the story of the main character who essentially wakes up in the body of a new person every day. Sometimes they'll wake up in the body of a girl or the body of a boy, but it's always the same age, and it's essentially the story of this character who falls in love with a girl, and the story is just very eye-opening, and it talks a lot about, what it's like to step in someone else's shoes. And so if you're looking for something a little different, a little that talks a little bit about empathy and that kind of thing, then I strongly recommend this one. So my last fiction recommendation is Room by Emma Donoghue, I believe her name is. Room is also another one of my absolute favorites. It's awesome because it's told by the point of view of a little boy, and that's what makes the story so interesting, is just like the point of view of the narrator. I'm not going to give too much away on this book because it is a bestseller, and you may have already heard about the storyline a bit, and it's a little bit heavy and emotional, but it is, I think that it's also a very important read. Those were my 10 summer book recommendations. If you have any books that you would like to recommend, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!